Good morning, mathematicians. Let's get started with week 14, our Monday column. Number one says shade 1/4 of the figure below. Next, shade 1/5 of the shaded quarter. So we are going to see one of our fractions in the rows and the other fraction in the columns. So let's go ahead and let's get started with the 1/4 in our rows. So if we were looking at this, do we notice that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows? I should have said that's why I chose to do the 1/4 this way, because I need to have 4 rows to create 1/4, right? Now I'm going to lightly shade 1/4 of that by shading one of the 4 rows, right? Now, I'm just lightly shading it because I'm going to go in a little bit darker for where the overlap occurs because we know that that's where the answer will actually be. Now, I'm going to shade 1/5 this way. Of course, I had to choose the 1/5 to go this way because that 1/5 has to be one of the 5 columns. There are 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need to shade one out of those 5 columns. Now, remember, what we need to see is the area where this overlap occurs shaded in a darker color. Because remember, 1/4 of 1/5 is where we see both those colors. Where that overlap occurs, that's where the answer is. So this moment right here, this one rectangle out of all 20 rectangles, that is where the answer is. This is 1/4 of 1/5. Okay. Now, if you were doing this with pencil, you could erase these 4 that are shaded in yellow and these 3 that are shaded in blue, or you could leave them. But we do want to be really clear that where the red is, that's where the answer lies, right? So no matter how you show it, you should have one of the 20 shaded because that is 1/4 of 1/5. Okay, let's get to our next question. This says Lionel Messyhair scored 9 goals across 4 games. How many goals did he score per game? Well, he scored how many goals? He scored 9 goals. And those 9 goals were spread across how many games? They were spread across 4 games. So remember, this is like saying 9 divided by 4, which is the same thing as 9/4, right? So our answer here is going to be 9/4. Now, some of our students, when I take a look at um, how we have listed our answer for this, some of those students have listed this as a mixed number. 4 goes into 9 2 times with 1 left over. So you could also list it as 2 and 1/4, which would mean the same thing. Okay. Now, the situation changes down below. If he continued scoring at the same rate, how many goals would he score after 12 games? Well, this represented 1 game, right? This was the number of goals in 1 game. So to answer this question, we really have to take the 9/4 and we have to multiply it by 12 to represent 12 games. Now, we know from so many weeks of talking about this that what we will do is multiply our numerator times our whole number, which 12 times 9 is 108, and our denominator stays the same. So really what we're asking ourselves here, we could write this as our answer, 108 fourths, but I like to take this into its whole number or mixed number value so that it makes sense for how many goals we got in the game, right? Well, how many times does 4 go into 108? That's 27 times. So the answer to this question is 27 goals. And that finishes out number 2. All right, let's take a look at number 3. Find the volume of the shape below. Well, we could partition it off here and have a teeny tiny prism, but that won't work the best because we see some listing of um, dimensions where it's going to be a little easier to do it like this, okay? So we're going to call this prism A, we're going to call this prism B, and then we are going to add those back together. So let's go ahead and find the volume, and this, of course, is for prism A. I see a 3. I see a width of how many? Well, that is, and I've got to stop and think, because this entire length is 8 inches. But I really just want to know this right here. So how can I find that? Well, I can find the width of prism B is going to be 6. So 6 minus 8 tells me that this width of prism A is just 2. Because here's my part and my part that equal my whole, my 8 inches. So I'm going to go back, and I now know that the width of prism A is 2, and the height of prism A, it is likewise in all the dimensions, the height is 5. So we can now do 6 times 2 is, excuse me, I said the answer here. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm looking at 30 inches cubed as my answer, but that's just for A. Now let's find the volume of prism B, right? Well, we already said that the length of it has to be 6 here, right? Because we were looking at here, and 2 of them have already been accounted for. Let's look at the width of part A, prism A. So we're looking at 6 here, right? Now we have the width right here of 2. That height we said was consistent throughout the entire shape. Well, 6 times 2 times 5, 2 times 5 is 10, 10 times 6 is 60. So we are looking at 60 inches cubed. What do we have to do to get our answer? To get our answer, we have to take this 60 and this 30 and add those together. We know that that is 90, but that answer is incomplete. Notice this is a moment, I love it, where they let us go ahead and write in the units and the cubed. That's been really kind of written in for us until this moment, but I love that. We want to get in the habit because this is not a line that's 90 inches long, right? No, it is 90 cubes, and those cubes are in inches. So we do want to make sure we get a complete answer here. It is 90 inches cubed. Great opportunity to remember the format that our answer must take when we're reporting volume. Okay, now let's take a look at Math Damon. Math Damon uses 5 pieces of chalk to solve 3 problems. Which expression below shows the amount of chalk used per problem? Well, what is the thing what is the thing that we are looking at? We are looking at 5 pieces of chalk, and the 5 pieces of chalk are used to solve 3 problems. Which expression below shows the amount of chalk used per problem, right? Well, the thing that we are doing is we are looking at 3 math problems. And those 3 math problems are being divided up and solved with 5 pieces of chalk. So really what we're looking at here is 3 math problems being divided up among 5 pieces of chalk to solve them, right? So this is how it looks as a division expression. But we know that 3 divided by 5 is the same as 3 divided by 5. Now find the 2 that match that situation. We know we should be circling A, and we know we should be circling D. That finishes out problem 4, and we are ready for just one more for today. Number 5 is a volume question that is unique. So read it carefully. It says the figure below is made up of 2 centimeter cubed, right? Cubes. What is the figure's volume? So each of these lines is not representing 1 centimeter. Each of these lines is representing 2 centimeters. That is a very important detail because I am not, this is a non-example, I am not going to say, oh, the length of this is 3 centimeters. That would be untrue. The reason this is untrue is because this is not a centimeter, a second centimeter, a third centimeter. No, the question itself said that each of them is 2 centimeters. So we actually have 2 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 6 centimeters. Do you see that? So really, when we're looking at this, we should have 6 centimeters for this length. We should also have 6 centimeters for this width, and we have 6 centimeters for the height, okay? Remember, good mathematicians are also good readers. So we really have to read for those details to make sure that we're answering the question as it's written. So really, guys, the question here is what is 6 cubed? Because that's the same as 6 times 6 times 6, right? Well, I know that 6 times 6 is 36. So now I need to know what 36 times 6 is. Remember, boys and girls, an exponent bosses this base and tells it, in this case, 6, to multiply itself together however many times I am. In this case, it's 3. That's where we get 6 times 6 times 6. 3 sixes being multiplied together. Good opportunity to think about the role of an exponent. Now, in any case, what we need to do here is we need to figure out what 36 times 6 equals. So 6 times 6 is 36. Here is my 3, or excuse me, my 6, carry my 3. 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20, 21. So we have an answer here of 216 what? That is 216 centimeters cubed. Now notice here they once again wrote the unit in the cubed. So all we have to do is write our 216 and we have a complete answer. That finishes out our Monday column.